millennials.
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 On television.
Millennials are killing certain things.
Across social media.
Millennials aren't stupid.
And in everyday conversations, people spend a lot of time talking about our generation.
I've had it with millennials.
I hate these kids.
Give millennials a break.
They talk about what we eat, what we buy, how we work and date and use our phones, and in the stream of news and commentary, you've probably heard some common themes.
Self-interested.
Afraid to get their hands dirty.
Out of control with our spending.
A lack of drive.
Freeloading mentality.
Millennials are lazy.
Lazy. So darn lazy.
Feckless millennials.
The problem is that all those claims are false. In fact, sociologists, economists, and professional pollsters have spent a lot of time and money figuring out what actually makes millennials tick. It turns out we work longer hours for less pay, take fewer vacations, and save a larger portion of our paychecks than other generations. We have more education on average, and we're just as likely to want to get married and raise a family in our 20s. So what's with this?
Most millennials are losers.
Or this?
You nonetheless are, without a doubt, a member of the worst generation ever.
Media organizations certainly haven't helped by using an easy formula to get page views. And we millennials do spend a lot of time on our phones. So does everyone now. Although we in particular have made an art form of using them to broadcast our greatest achievements.
I'm sorry, Jesus.
But we also know that adults have been complaining about younger generations for a pretty long time.
Noisy, crazy, sloppy, lazy, loafers.
While we're on the subject, there are some things we can measure that make us different, but they are almost all just the continuation of trends that started years or decades before we were born, whether that's being less religious, or getting married and having kids later, being more narcissistic, or supporting gay marriage and legal marijuana.
Even spending more money at restaurants and living with parents longer.
Each and every one of these trends could have described the Gen Xers and the Boomers, and will probably still be true for our children. We actually look a lot more like our parents than they might have us believe.
You're beginning to sound just like my mother.
But it turns out there is one way, just one way, that we are meaningfully different from the people born before and after us. Something that can't be explained by technology or trends, or the fact that we're just young. And it's not what we are doing to the economy. It's what the economy did to us.
What in the world is happening on Wall Street?
Red everywhere. Down over 16%.
18%. 21%.
43%.
We haven't seen anything like this probably since the Great Depression.
Dow traders are standing there watching in amazement.
They're nuts. They know nothing.
Every generation felt the pain of the recession, but for millennials, the costs were particularly devastating. Our unemployment spiked higher, our wages fell farther and stayed lower for longer, and the gap in wealth between our generation and others soared to a record high. We still haven't recovered. We also watched our country's institutions fail us and fail our families. We saw our parents lose money, or jobs, or houses. And seeing those things, living through them, changed our brains. Sociologists call it a cohort effect. It happens when young people live through a major event that changes the way they think about the world and themselves, and those changes stay with them for the rest of their lives. For us, the recession changed how we make choices and take chances, and it changed who we trust. A decade later, we still don't trust the banks, and we don't trust the stock market. We invest less and start fewer businesses than would be expected. Simply put, as a generation, we take fewer risks. And we don't trust our political parties. We have far more independent voters than any generation that was born before us. But what's remarkable about our story is all this distrust, all the frustration that built up in the wake of the recession has not turned into apathy. We are angrier, but we're also more optimistic. And we may feel disillusioned with our system, but we haven't become disengaged. In 2016, we were the only age group to see an increase in voter turnout from the last presidential election. And in 2018, our midterm turnout jumped more than anyone else's. That's good news for one party in particular.
The Democrats
take control of the House of Representatives.
Young voters turned out in record numbers.
Millennial voters and younger voters are absolutely rejecting the Republican Party.
Our support for the left has surged. We vote for Democrats more than any other age group since modern exit polling started in the 1970s. We don't seem to be slowing down, and maybe it's no coincidence. We saw firsthand the failures of a system that concentrated more wealth and power in the hands of fewer people, and so we started pushing harder to change it. And it's already starting to work.
We will change this country.
We can guide this country.
We
call BS!
We are the ones we've been waiting for.
We are changing the system. And we won't stop. And instead of asking what's wrong with millennials, maybe what people should be asking is, where are we going next?